visit brought about $45 billion in export deals for the U.S. The deal was well received in the U.S. Officials say it not only benefits U.S. companies, but also supports 235,000 local jobs. A U.S. expert says politicians should seize the opportunity of Hu Jintao's visit to break ground for further economic cooperation.
We're facing the possibility, the prospect, which I hope comes true, of large-scale Chinese investment in the United States in clean technology, infrastructure development, and so forth. So long as those investments are job-creating, they should be very welcome here. But there are a lot of obstacles to them now, political and otherwise. So I hope both sides will address that.
The obstacles are long-standing. The Chinese government has been repeatedly complaining that U.S. restrictions on high-tech exports is dampening a big demand from China.
China-U.S. trade will continue to grow at a fast pace, but the key issue here is that the U.S. should relax its control on high-tech exports to China. The development of China's new energy, environment protection, high-end manufacturing all need advanced technologies and equipment. If the U.S. continues to maintain controls, it will be an obstacle to further growth for U.S. exports to China.
China has been striving to do its part to balance trade with the U.S. In December, the country's exports rose 18%, while imports jumped 26%. The trade surplus dropped to the lowest in 8 months. Figures from the U.S. show exports to China in November hit a record high of $9.5 billion. The economic cooperation between the two sides is benefiting people from both countries. Analysts say the visit of Chinese President Hu Jintao to the U.S. is a big opportunity for the two countries to build mutual trust, remove existing barriers, and pave the way for further economic cooperation. Guanxin, CCTV, Beijing.
If you're just joining us, we're bringing you special coverage on Hu Jintao's visit to Washington. And let's continue with that with our D.C. correspondent Jessica Stone, who's been joining us over the past couple of days with a special insight on what's happening there in the U.S. Capitol. Washington, Jessica, is now waking up after the first state dinner for a Chinese president in the United States in more than 10 years. I want to talk about the American people. Is the response amongst the ordinary people there as interested and as engaged as what we're seeing from its leadership?
Absolutely. The American public, of course, is top of mind. The issue is jobs. We are at almost 10% unemployment in this country, and so any of the great economic partners of the United States, when their leaders come to Washington, this is a matter of great interest to the United States. And as you may recall, China became a bit of a bogeyman in the midterm election cycle in November. Many politicians talked about China, and in fact, in many cases, were very negative about China, and so this is also an opportunity for Chinese President Hu Jintao to remind the American people that China is a job provider, a job creator, and that trade with China, being the second greatest trading partner with the United States, that China is very important to the American economy, and part of the trip to Chicago will underscore that. Of course, the President Hu visiting an auto parts plant in Chicago, underscoring that has created American jobs, and that further U.S.-China business deals will also do that. And we certainly saw a number of announcements about that yesterday, a total of about $45 billion in anticipated trade deals between the two countries. So that is a very good deal indeed. So yes, very much interested. The American public is very much interested here in Washington and around the country.
Jessica, you mentioned there the political bogeyman in the midterm elections, but also you mentioned there the vast number of indicators saying why it's so important for the American economy. As such, let's look ahead and see what's coming up on Thursday, because over the following hours, Hu Jintao will speak to the U.S.-China business community. He'll give a keynote address, of course. What are the main messages that you're expecting to come out of that when he takes to the lectern and he has this opportunity to speak to the elite gathered there in D.C.?
Well, the speech today, highly anticipated for the business community. This is going to be the only time the President Hu Jintao publicly addresses the private sector. He has, of course, met with the 18 CEOs, 14 of whom were Americans, yesterday for about 45 minutes with U.S. President Barack Obama. But